Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, on Instagram at Movies TV Mad 555, and on TikTok where anything goes at Movies TV Mad XXX. Welcome to Friday's, yes, Friday's edition of the dceu Daily 10 Things to Look Out For in Andy Muschietti Flash movie. Number one, of course, the obvious one, Michael Keaton. Yes, Michael Keaton's Batman will appear in the Flash movie, and we discussed a little bit yesterday how that will probably feature within the sneak peek we get at DC Fandom. So excited for that one. Michael Keaton has already done two iconic Batman movies, Batman and Batman Returns. Batman Returns being one of my favourite Batman movies. No, I don't think that movie's overstuffed. I don't understand why the internet is obsessed with that kind of phrase, overstuffed. You can never overstuff a movie. It can't be overstuffed when you've got the actors that film has got and the characters. Selena Kyle, Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito's Penguin. Wow, wow, wow. But Keaton will be in this movie. We don't really know how. We know he's going to be a kind of, I don't know. I don't even know if it's the Batman from the movies that we saw many, many years ago in 89 and 92. But he's going to be in it, and it's very interesting if he survives the movie long enough to play a bigger part within the new era of DC live action. Number two, Brandon Routh. Yes, you've heard it here first. You've heard it here first many times. Brandon Routh will play Christopher Reeve's Superman in Flashpoint. We call it Flashpoint so nobody thinks we're getting... Basically, they need to call this film Flashpoint, don't they? I don't know why they haven't done this. It looks like The Flash is the title. Anyway, yes, Brandon Routh's Superman debuted in Bryan Singer's Superman Returns, a really brilliant, emotional movie asking the question, does the world really need Superman? Do we really need someone to catch us when we fall? Or do we not need Superman? Of course we need Superman. I need Superman. I love Superman. Bryan Singer directed and co-wrote a beautiful story, right? Not a perfect story, not a perfect movie, but I really do enjoy it to this day. Brandon Routh is playing Christopher Reeve's Superman. Superman Returns is the sequel to Superman 2. And I love it. I can go on about things that Bryan did wrong, but at the end of the day, I enjoy the movie. And I can't wait to see Brandon Routh in the Flash movie. But you're saying, Mick, how do you know this? I just know. I know things. Look, I work off of logic. And, you know, this film is going to celebrate the entire DCEU and represent everything we've seen in the DCEU thus far, then close that off and start a new era of this multiverse strategy. So Brandon Routh will play Superman in this movie. Now, I don't know what costume he's going to wear, the Superman Returns one, the one we saw on Crisis on Infinite Earths, but Brandon Routh will be in that movie. Number three, a bit of a controversial one, but I'm going to say it even if it turns out to be wrong. Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. Yes, I expect to see Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern in this movie as well. It's part of what we've been promised. The multiverse, seeing different iterations into, you know, in this brilliant, you know, DC live action universe that we've been enjoying since what? George Reeves' Superman. Now, I don't know if things like George Reeves' Superman can be involved using old footage and stuff. We'll have to wait and see for that. But yes, I think that Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, could play a part in this movie. So look out for that. I'm about 75%, 85% sure that we will see him in this movie. So that would be very, very, very exciting. I haven't written these down, by the way, so I'm just plucking them out of my head. I've always thought they could be involved. Number four, Nicolas Cage's Superman, who was supposed to have his own movie in Tim Burton's Superman Lives. I expect to see him. Now, will he be playing Superman, or is it like Ezra Miller hinted at last year's Fandom that he'll just be the actor? That would be interesting, but not as exciting as seeing him suit up as Superman. So I expect to see that. Am I on number four? I think that was number four. Number five, Henry Cavill's Superman. Yes, Henry Cavill's Superman will feature in Flashpoint will feature in Black Adam and Shazam Fury of the Gods, as I've already told you. Again, nobody else is talking about this but me. I know these things because, again, I speak and think with logic. So Henry Cavill is a modern day Superman most people love, even if they don't like the 3 movies he was in. Personally, I think Man of Steel was his most perfect performance, the perfect Superman for the modern day in that movie. So I do expect to see Henry Cavill's Superman. Number 6, Amy Adams' Lois Lane. Again, I expect to see Amy Adams' Lois Lane. If you're going to see Henry Cavill's Superman, expect to see Amy Adams' Lois Lane as well. So that's number 6, I think. I don't know what number I'm on. Number 7, Lawrence Fishburne's Perry White. Yes, I also expect to see him in this movie. Why? Why do I expect to see him? Because I've already told you earlier on in the video, we are going to be celebrating the entirety of the DCEU. And there's not anyone apart from those propaganda merchants and those with an agenda who should be shying away from this movie. Yes, so Lawrence Fishburne's Perry White, who is a great Perry White. I always celebrated his casting. It doesn't matter that Perry in the comics has always been white. You know, Lawrence Fishburne is an iconic actor. In fact, probably my favourite incarnation of Perry White. So that's number 7. Number 8, this is a big one, Faora from Man of Steel. And don't expect me to pronounce the actress's name. So is it number 8? Is it number 7? I don't remember. It's number 8. It's number 8 now because I say so. So I expect Faora to be in this movie. So, number 9, Blue Beetle. Yeah, Blue Beetle, who's already been cast. I expect to see him in this movie. And number 10, Batgirl. Batgirl. I expect to see Leslie Grace's Batgirl in this movie. But of course, there's more to this movie than that. Because you're going to see these kind of people who have just been cast in this movie. You're going to see all these incarnations of these DCEU characters, including Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. Everyone, listen, any name you can pluck out from, you know, the entirety of the DCEU thus far, you will see in this movie. No question about it. I mean, comment down below who you can't wait to see in this movie from the DCEU, because you name them, they will be in this movie. I can guarantee you this is a huge, huge movie that's going to span the multiverse, the past, the present, and the future. Yeah, we could have a look at the future of the DCEU in this very movie as well. Barry can go to the future, he can go to the past, he can speed through the multiverse. If you utilize him properly like they're going to do in this movie, he can do so many things. Of course, this film has to have heart. This has to be a purely a front and center Barry Allen movie, and it will be, because the story is about his hunger and, I suppose, devastation to, you know, first his devastation of losing his parents. His father's been stitched up for the murder of his mum, and he's lost his mother. And so the hunger is to put that right, and that's why this movie goes in the direction it does. But the truth is, they're using the Flash and his abilities as a tool to reboot this universe, and there's no question about that. And I think even Andy and Barbara have kind of admitted that as well. So there's some things you can look forward to in the Flash movie, but wherever your imagination takes you, I think you're going to be spot on with your kind of theories for the Flash movie. So, you know, a very, very exciting kind of moment in the history of the DCEU. I wish we didn't have to wait till November next year, because I'm thinking about this movie, and the sooner we reboot this universe, the sooner we can move forward to more positive times. I've been told by someone, and I'm not mentioning this person's name, but she has told me that in his office, Walter Hamada has a multiverse map, which I'm sure Kevin Feige has got a map, an MCU multiverse map as well. Apparently it's a huge map that covers the entirety of his office, and also it's on a portion somewhere in his computer as well, of course. But he's got it all over so he can pinpoint certain elements and certain things they want to do in the multiverse strategy. So that's very exciting. Now, how many Earths in Walter Hamada's multiverse? Well, I would expect that it spans many multiple kind of, let's say that again, how many Earths? How many Earths? Did I say how many multiverses? I don't think I did, but I'm just going to correct myself in case I got it wrong. So, how many Earths in Walter Hamada's multiverse strategy, in his multiverse? Well, how many are they planning to represent in the short term, we should ask? Well, we've got the DCEU Earth 1 for now. We've got Matt Reeves, the Batman, Earth 2. Now, we've also got, what else would I say? Yes, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Superman, may be Earth 3. Now, I don't know if it's going to be in a different Earth. I'm just guessing. It looks like it will be. So that would be Earth 3. And we have a Steven Spielberg DC movie. I forgot which one it's about. It's about a pilot, isn't it? This was greenlit years ago, but nothing's ever happened from it. Apparently, it's still in development. I expect this to be announced at DC Fandom. That would be Earth 4. So I think for the short term, we're going to have 4 Earths in Walter Hamada's multiverse strategy. So, I mean, I'm very excited that Steven Spielberg gets to do a DC movie. Obviously, it's not a well-known DC universe, so it's interesting how many people will be interested. I think on his name alone, it could be, because I think this is a film that can represent versions of Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. It can have stuff like that. But ultimately, this is a World War II pilot, if I remember rightly. I forgot the name of it. So yeah, I'm counting 4 Earths in Walter Hamada's multiverse strategy at this point. Of course, there can be a lot more, because Batgirl is within the DCEU apparently, as is Blue Beetle, but we don't know that. They could be in separate Earths as well. But you don't want to create too many Earths too quickly. So I think we've got 2 Earths with Matt Reeves and Earth 1 at the moment. But, of course, we don't know what happens at the end of the Flash movie. So it's very important to hold off on that. But yeah, I've kind of counted 4 Earths at this point. And, I'd love a look at his multiverse map. I wonder if Walter could make that available for us at DC Fandom. That would be something very exciting to see him go through that. But again, they don't want to give us all the cards they're holding straight away. There's so many things in development, and until we see the Flash movie, I think they will be holding their cards close to their chests. And I can understand that. But yeah, I'm thinking about what kind of multiverse Walter is planning here. I think, listen, a lot of people say a multiverse strategy is a cheap thing. Surprise, surprise, people like Matt Jarbo. And as soon as the MCU and Feige do a multiverse strategy, it's fine, it's exciting. Oh, we've got Spider-Man No Way Home. Kevin Feige knows what he's doing, innit? But whenever DC announced their multiverse strategy before Feige announced his. But it's not all right when DC do it, but it is all right when the MCU do it. This is the bias we have to live with, I'm afraid, as DC fans. Now, hopefully by doing films that more people can enjoy, maybe we can leave that bias behind, and I'm looking forward to that. But for me, the multiverse is a very exciting thing because it's got so much potential to it. So many characters, and you're not held back. If you've got a Superman there, you can have a Superman over here. If you've got a Plastic Man here, you can have a Plastic Man over there. I mean, why would you want 2 versions of Plastic Man? I'm just giving you an example, really. So for me, it's very awesome that we're doing this. And, with different Earths represented, we can see different type of characters on different Earths. And these Earths can be so different as well. Elements in Earth 1 will be very different in Earth 60. And I like that. And we've seen that in a way in Arrowverse, but Arrowverse hasn't really given too many eccentricities to their other Earths, unfortunately. Supergirl's Earth, I mean, it's Supergirl's Earth, certain things Supergirl's Earth doesn't seem to have, like a Batman, so unless I've missed it. But I suppose that's what the multiverse is. Some Earths just won't have certain characters as well, so that's kind of interesting. But I just think it's a very exciting concept, the multiverse, and I'm glad that we're doing it within DC. Of course, there's so many ways you can get this wrong. It's not it's not as easy as throwing things on the wall and seeing what sticks. You've got to have a plan. I think that Walter Hamada does have a plan for the multiverse strategy. That's why I call it a strategy. It's been his plan from day one. So he's been planning this for a very, very long time. And we're going to find out things that are going to shock us, excite us, because of the potential of this strategy. Because when you've just got one Earth, you've just got one Superman, if you get it wrong, it's very difficult to fix it. But if you get Superman wrong in one Earth, you maybe can get him right in another. Do you understand? If everyone doesn't like the Batman in one Earth, then you can create another one that's a little bit better. Do you understand? Now, it doesn't mean you put the other ones to bed, although we don't know what's happening with Cavill's Superman and Affleck's Batman. We will find out after the Flash movie, or in the Flash movie, should I say. So again, the Flash movie for me can't come soon enough. Just to know who the players are going to be in the future iterations of this DC live action universe. And I think I'm very impatient about it now. I just want to see their plans. I want to know what they're going to do. And what's great about the multiverse as well, there's nothing that you say no to. There's nothing that you have to say, well, we can't do that. You can do absolutely anything. And, you know, if people don't go to theatres to see one version, then maybe they'll go to theatres to see another version. Some versions of this multiverse strategy, of course, will be on HBO Max. Again, awesome. Some will be theatrically and will be put through the theatrical model. So everyone gets a bit of everything. Everyone gets a bit of what they like. So when we're well into this multiverse strategy, you may think to yourself, well, I don't like this version. Well, let's just say Batman. But then you see another version of Batman somewhere else. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that film, but I didn't like that film. But I'm still enjoying this franchise now because it's got something for everyone, which is cool, and it connects, and there's cameos and Easter eggs, which is what today's audience wants to see, of course. And so, if you've noticed I'm talking about the multiverse strategy in a Flash a lot, it's because it just excites me. Because I think recently with the DCEU, I have been somewhat disappointed with the self-containedness of these movies. These movies wouldn't have been self-contained after Justice League if they weren't so shit scared of what happened with Justice League. And they started to blame the connective tissue of the movies rather than blaming themselves. It's not the fact that Snyder had a self-contained universe all mapped out that was the problem. The problem was Snyder was doing it in a certain way, a way that I really enjoyed but many, many people didn't. That's the issue with it. And then the way Warner Brothers reacted to it. They reacted in the wrong way. They didn't think, if you want to course correct what Snyder's doing, you've got to sit down and think about it. Now, Walter Hamada, his course correction is the multiverse strategy. And I think he sat down with this, he's thought about this, whatever you think of him personally. He's a very smart guy. I believe he's a very smart guy. People may doubt that because he had doubts about the Joker movie, but nobody's perfect, right? And, you know, when you're thinking about this plan to fix one thing, and I understand why he was scared of Joker. I mean, people rejected the dark and gritty grit and realism of the Snyderverse. So he's thinking, we're going to do another film like that. That's worrying. And of course it was worrying, and nobody knew if it will be a hit or a miss. Nobody could have known that. You know, you have Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips, the chances are it's going to be a success. But nobody knew how big this film was going to hit. So I don't blame Walter Hamada for having doubts about that. But I think the multiverse strategy is a good plan, and it gives you so much more potential. And I think finally, every member of the DC fandom can say, this is for me. This is not for me, but that's for me. And I think from the moment I heard this is what excited me at first, because this was during the build-up of Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, and I thought his universe could be involved. Now, his universe could have been involved if he and Ray Fisher didn't rock the boat, like we say every day on the DCEU Daily, but you never know. It's not over yet. Keep on fighting for that stuff, because you don't know what we're going to get. But yes, Walter Hamada has a multiverse map. Also, he has a separate multiverse heat map, and he is guiding a little arc to go through this, which will be introduced in the Flash movie. Now, it may or may not be the meta-human war that we see in the Other Earth Barry creates when he goes to change his parents' fate. Whether that is a precursor of what we're going to see in Earth 1 of the DCEU. After The Flash, I don't know. But I'm very confident, and I'm hearing something about a very exciting arc and a very big-time DC villain coming to DC live action, and he'll touch every corner of that universe, whether it's Arrowverse, HBO Max, you know, Doom Patrol, DC's Titans, everything. This is a whole universe now, a whole franchise in one, and I can't wait to see it all play out. Well, Patty Jenkins has gone and got herself cancelled. Let's take a look at this. Wonder Woman director criticises streaming services, fake-looking movies. I think this is ironic. First of all, let me say where I stand on this. I think it's disgusting and disrespectful. Other people work hard on these movies. And let me be absolutely clear about streaming movies and streaming content. In fact, the quality is much higher than straight to cinema movies, the movies that go through the theatrical system these days. I think they're really, really well made. And Netflix and Amazon and Now TV and Disney Plus and, you know, Apple TV, all these different platforms spend a lot of money to get the best people involved. So how dare she say this? Wonder Woman 1984 director Patty Jenkins opens up about her frustrations with the streaming boom and calling streaming movies for looking fake. I'm sure when she did this, she thought she was going to seem the great, intelligent auteur fighting for the cinematic system, but a lot of people are cancelling her over this, and quite right too. By Grant Hermans of Screen Rant. Wonder Woman 1984 director Patty Jenkins opens up about her frustrations with the streaming boom and calling streaming movies for looking fake. Jenkins kicked off her career in strong fashion in 2003 with the Oscar and Golden Globe winning biographical crime drama Monster. Let me be clear about this. Monster's an okay film, but it's not really anything too special, and it's very different to mainstream blockbusters, which she doesn't have the technique to do. By the way, all the great sequences you saw in the first Wonder Woman, they were down to Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder directed the action in that film. Fact. I know that for a fact. Before exploring the world of television with episodes of Arrested Development, Entourage, and The Killing, she would later return to the film world in 2017 for the DC Extended Universe film Wonder Woman, which would be once again score her rave reviews and was a box office smash, putting her further on the map. It's funny when we talk about the first Wonder Woman. No, not when we talk about the first Wonder Woman, when the media do. They give all the credit to her. I've explained to you she couldn't even direct the action. That No Man's Land scene, she didn't do that. Zack Snyder did. I can tell how a director works and what directors have a consistency on their looks and their visions in a movie. Tell me No Man's Land looks like anything but a Zack Snyder sequence, so please. Jenkins would return to the DCEU world with Wonder Woman 1984, which was primed to hit theatres in summer 2020 before the COVID-19 pandemic forced Warner Brothers to delay its release. It's really funny, we forget it was also cancelled in 2019, nothing to do with COVID. And I've discussed this before. I'm very suspicious what happened there. And if they didn't cancel it in 2019, then COVID-19 wouldn't have been a factor, would it? Interesting. And I wish it was released then, so we could have seen how it would have done in the box office pre-COVID. The film would ultimately become the studio's first to receive a same-day theatrical and HBO Max release, which would lead to it falling short of its break-even point with only 166 million gross worldwide and mixed reception from critics. Though it would become the most watched straight-to-streaming title of the year, Jenkins, however, has been one of the most vocal critics of this decision, calling it heartbreaking and attributing its financial failure to this hybrid format. But her criticisms aren't stopping there. Let me say that again. She's blaming the day and date for its failure. You can't blame the day and date for its failure, right? You can't. Right, let me ask you a question. If there's no COVID-19 and you do a day and date release, what's going to happen? Everyone's going to go to the movie theatre, right? Everyone. And if it's a great movie, they'll go back. They won't fucking sit at home watching it. People love going to movie theatres. So she called it heartbreaking and attributing its financial failure to this hybrid format. But her criticisms aren't stopping there. But it's interesting how they'll talk to her about her criticisms. but they won't talk to her about our criticisms of her movie, Wonder Woman 84. That's interesting. As part of this year's CinemaCon via LA Times, Jenkins participated in a particular of the recent boom of streaming platforms supported by the global pandemic. In reflecting on original films produced by streaming platforms, Jenkins opined that the titles all didn't appear real and supported her opinion with a lack of discussion about them reaching her. See what Jenkins said below. They may not reach you because you're not interested in streaming movies, but they reach the rest of us. I'm always getting the marketing for all these movies on Twitter and other avenues because I'm linked in socially, but you're not. Because you're not interested in them, because you have a bias towards them. Aren't you seeing it? All of the films that streaming services are putting out, I'm sorry, they look like fake movies to me. I don't hear about them. I don't read about them. It's not working as a model for establishing legendary greatness. And Wonder Woman 84 is establishing legendary greatness? No. Those movies on streaming aren't exactly rewatchable, but you can watch them once in the afternoon and really enjoy them. So how dare you disrespect these creators working on these films? As streaming platforms have sought to break out into the mainstream with audiences, studios have financed films that certainly have proven to be critical and viewership duds and drawn criticisms from the public for their ridiculous existences. Let's say that again. Studios have financed films that certainly have proven to be critical and viewership duds and drawn criticisms from the public for their ridiculous existences. That being said, Jenkins' opinions that streaming films look like fake movies is sure to ruffle feathers in both audiences and fellow filmmakers, as the streaming home has allotted many a true creative freedom and home for their stories that may not come from a big studio. So let me ask her this, Patty, is Army of the Dead look like a fake movie to you? It looks beautiful. It looks like a Zack Snyder movie just made for streaming. What you got to say about that? Netflix has frequently been celebrated by filmmakers and actors alike for their willingness to bring unique projects to life, however they see fit, and it has led to some of the biggest hits creatively and financially for the platform, some of which include David Fincher's Mank, Vince Gilligan's El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, and Zack Snyder's burgeoning Army of the Dead franchise. It's very interesting. Let me tell you why a lot of these directors don't like streaming. Because they don't make the royalties they would through the theatrical system. The companies, your Netflix and your Amazons, make more money. Or they get a huge fee. But they're greedy, these people, and they want a little piece of the money-making pie, and they're not getting it anymore. They don't care about the theatrical model. They care about how many royalties they're going to get. This is what it's really about. To her credit, Patty Jenkins' criticisms are not entirely unfounded. Really? Really? As many films come from various streaming platforms become laughingstocks on social media, do they? As users question whether they're real or joke projects. When? Oh dear. And this is the problem with Access Media. They love to get their little tongues right up these elite cracks, don't they? From various streaming platforms become laughingstocks on social media as users question whether they're real or joke projects. Given her incredibly busy schedule, it could be argued that Jenkins not hearing of her bigger streaming films or seeing discussions for them could simply come from her being more out of the loop than she believes. Though with Jenkins' general distaste of the world of streaming originals, it seems just as likely she may avoid those conversations altogether, despite the value many will argue they hold. It's interesting. I remember when journalists used to venture an opinion. This journalist, right, is it Grant Hermans? He literally sat on the fence and said, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Come on, give us your opinion, a little bit. And the opinion about, you know, streaming movies and shows being a joke on social media, no. All right, if you're talking, which was the one on Netflix? Cuties was a very controversial movie because of, well, what people believe, the sexualization of those young women. And, you know, I can't argue with that, but people weren't mocking it as a movie. And in fact, that movie did have a very important commentary in it. But it was a very controversial movie, but it wasn't exactly a joke. And I understand why people were pissed off about that movie. But anyway, right, let's get into this. When you're a creative, when you're a YouTuber, you may disagree with other YouTubers, but never call them untalented. Never, you know, we've got to respect each other. And a creative, an artist, a director like Patty Jenkins shouldn't be calling them fake movies. It is wrong on so many levels, and she's being destroyed on Twitter right now, quite rightly so. But I'd ask you another question. Who is she to question and criticise other creatives, other movies, when she made a film like Wonder Woman 84? Most of her CV is monster and TV episodes. That's it. Wonder Woman 2017, as I've said, she did very little of the actual cool stuff. She directed the dialogue, right? Let's be honest about this, but they're never going to tell us the truth about this. What goes on a set is private. Even when you get your extras on Blu-ray and DVD and 4K, you don't really see the truth of what goes on that set. They pretend they're a family and they love each other. All bullshit, of course. None of them really love each other. They love themselves too much to love anybody else. So she hasn't got a great CV. The first Wonder Woman's a great movie. It's got her name on it. There's nothing I can do about that. But you answer me this. I think I mentioned it yesterday and so many more times on my lives. How could the person who did Wonder Woman 2017 do Wonder Woman 84? It doesn't make sense. This woman isn't a good director, and how dare she criticise other artists and creatives' integrity and art. There are some wonderful projects, wonderful films, wonderful limited series on streaming. Now, I'm sorry, Patty, if you're sore that you're not getting, that the theatrical model is dying. That's nobody's fault, right? It's progress. We've said this before. We went from the radio, the wireless, to the record, to the CD, to the mini disc, to downloading stuff digitally. That's where we are. It's progress, whether we like that progress or not. Some of us older people may reject that progress and still listen to vinyls, and that's fine, but you can't stop the youth moving with the times. In fact, many people my age have moved with the times as well. So I want the cinematic system to survive through this shrink process of 45 days. I hope it can. I hope it can still make the money it always has. The reason they've struggled in the past couple of years is COVID-19, and we all know that. But sitting there as a director who once directed for television, don't forget, and is she saying she would never make a streaming movie, a streaming TV show? I mean, and as a director, doesn't that limit your opportunities when the theatrical system is shrinking anyway? It doesn't seem like a very smart thing to do, and it doesn't seem like Patty Jenkins is as smart as she seems to be in her interviews. I'd love to interview her about Wonder Woman 84 and put some accusations towards her, but these people live in a bubble. I'm sure when Kathleen Kennedy appointed her for Rogue Squadron, the Star Wars movie she's doing, before she actually saw Wonder Woman 84, she was very excited. Then she saw Wonder Woman 84 and she thought, fucking hell, they're going to nail me for this. I'm under enough pressure here at Lucasfilm as it is. And I've just made, because she thought, I'll get a female director in, Patty Jenkins, people love her. She did Wonder Woman 2017. There's no problems here. Then she makes a fucking lemon, like Wonder Woman 84, and Kathy must be thinking, Jesus Christ, I'm not getting a break here. She's doing Cleopatra. So she'll probably get away with a movie like Cleopatra, although there could be some action in that. I don't know. But I respect you. Look, I respect Spielberg, Scorsese, who's actually done streaming as well, by the way. But I respect those iconic older legends saying they don't like streaming, but I think there's a difference between saying I don't like the streaming model and the streaming movies are actually fake and not good quality. That's a very bad thing to say. Now, she could have been stitched up here with a few quotes, jumbled up. It happens a lot. So I'm not saying she exactly said this. It seems like out of character for Patty to say this. She seems like a very polite, well-mannered woman. But if she actually said this is not well-mannered, this is not good, and it's disrespectful. This has been the DCEU Daily. This is Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. I will be back again for tomorrow's edition of the DCEU Daily, hopefully with more breaking news. Until then, keep with the multiverse strategy, fan DC, and just remember that DC fandom is for all DC fans to enjoy. Like the multiverse strategy, there's something there you're looking forward to seeing. The Batman trailer, the Flash sneak peek, a Black Adam, behind the scenes look, Aquaman behind the scenes look. It's awesome. It's exciting. There should be no negativity involved in this, and as a DC fan, I'm looking forward to it all. Until tomorrow's DCEU Daily, I will see you again soon. Until then, goodbye.